This week is Youth Suicide Awareness Week, where young television, music and sports personalities have been asked to give up some of their time to talk to students and other young people about the issue. I hosted a forum at Melbourne's Athenaeum Theatre where teenagers got to have their say and listen to bands like Powderfinger, Grinspoon and Lash. In 1984, teenager John McCollum committed suicide with a bullet to the head. 2 years later, 16-year-old Michael Waller did the same. Then in 1988, a third teenager, Harold Matthew Hamilton, also chose to end his life with a handgun. What did these suicides have in common? Well, all three deaths resulted in legal action being taken against this man, Ozzy Osbourne, the musician who put the black in Black Sabbath and the Oz and the Fest in Ozfest. One song in particular was cited in the court cases as inspiring young people to go over the edge and beyond. Suicide Solution, from the 1980 album Blizzard of Oz. The song allegedly contained hidden messages, including why try, get the gun and try it, and shoot, get the gun. So is Ozzy Osbourne a Grim Reaper with a microphone stand where a regular Grim Reaper would have a scythe? Tonight, we talk to the man. But first, let's meet the youth of Australia. Now kids, you represent the future. A la Whitney Houston's I Believe the Children Are Our Future. And in your hands, you hold a dial. A la Channel 9's election debate special. Now I'd like to draw your attention to the decomposing head of a misguided youth on the bottom of the screen. During the course of my interview with Mr. Osbourne, a worm will crawl out of the decomposing head and make its way across the television. You control the worm. When you feel more like killing yourself, turn the dial to the right. When you feel less like killing yourself, turn your dial to the left. Thus, we can scientifically chart to what extent Ozzy Osbourne makes you want to kill yourself or not kill yourself. Ozzy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Ozzy, Three Dead Teenagers. Your critics say your albums are littered with subliminal messages that can be heard when played backwards.
There's no secret message. Probably you play my record backwards, you probably hear me fart.
What about the lawyers' claims that your songs utilise a soundwave process called hemisync that makes some listeners unable to resist violent impulses?
I mean, I can't remember. Some of these things they come up with, they must be sicker than me to even come up with the thought that I've never even thought of that, you know. So I can't even remember. But some of them just really shocked me. I go, how the hell does anybody come up with that crap?
What about the claim that you eat bats?
Well, I think if you're anything like a journalist, you go, hey man, I'm not going to ask him a question because he's got to be asked this question 80,000 billion times. It's kind of corny for me now. And they go, so, Ozzy, what do bats really taste like, you know? It's 20 years old, you know. A lot has happened to me in 20 years, which I can't remember because I was stoned or drunk.
A few tracks on your new album seem to be trying to be overtly positive, like Dreamer's pro-environmental message.
Rocket engines burning fuel so fast, up into the night sky they blast, burning metal to the atmosphere, Earth remains in worry, hate and fear. With the hateful battles raging on, rockets flying to the glowing sun, I've been singing about environmental issues since Black Sabbath, but people go, because I'm called Black Sabbath, I only sing about Satan. Because I made a song called Crazy Train, I'm just crazy. And all I do is run around the planet doing satanic slogans to everybody and biting the heads of creatures.
So you're saying you're a misunderstood all-round nice guy?
Sometimes I make errors. I mean, I'm not invincible. I do fuck up sometimes. I'm sorry, I shouldn't keep saying that. I'm a lovable loon. I'm a likeable loony. I'm not satanic or any of that crap. I'm just a likeable loony. I like to think that everybody would like to be Ozzy for the weekend sometime in their life, you know. Just have crazy fun and just be menacing. And it's like I'm Dennis the Menace, you know. Anyway, is that it?
Thanks, Ozzy. Well, that's his say. But does listening to Ozzy Osbourne incite suicidal solutions? For our investigation, we hit the streets. I spent all last week learning the lyrics to Suicide Solution backwards. Ivira, Mira, Wus, der Führer. Amira, Zira, Wus, der Führer. Oh, oh, oh. Ezira, Mira, Wus, der Führer. Ezira, Mira, Wus, der Führer. Wus, der Führer. Wus, der Führer! Azira, Mira, Wus, der Führer! Azira, Mira, Wus, der Führer! Susja Worcester! Susja Worcester! Susja Worcester! I be Frauen and be vaccinate. I be Frauen and be vaccinate. I be Frauen and ye activate. Susja Worcester! Susja Worcester! Susja Worcester! Susja Worcester! Susja Worcester! Susja Worcester! Susja Worcester!
To be serious for a moment, I really don't think you should kill yourself, unless you've really given it a lot of thought and you really want to do it. And even then, don't do it. But if you do it, which you shouldn't, but if you do, which you don't, how about putting your unfortunate death to some good by taking a bit of heat off the shoulders of the already overstressed usual suspects like Judas Priest and Ozzy Osbourne, and spread the burden around a bit? And because we already know you're flat out running about town trying to buy barbiturates and a length of hose, we've taken the hard work out of apportioning blame.
Simply go to musicjamboree.com and print out one of our pre-formatted, pre-finger-pointing suicide notes. You can choose to blame Tommy Emmanuel, Nikki Webster, The Wiggles, Vicar and Linda Bull, and the Jeff Harvey Midday Show Band.
Print out your choice, sign your name, and you do the rest. Which you shouldn't.
Did you know you can't gas yourself with new gas ovens?
Hi, just that song that goes,
Yeah, left into the back.
Thanks.
There's nothing more Australian than starting a pub rock band. Tight black jeans, bottle of bourbon, lead guitar, bass, drums, kamikaze headband, cheap wine and a 3-day growth. Conversely, many people feel there's nothing less Australian than starting a homegrown hip-hop posse. Indeed, merely to take to the stage in this country with your sampler and turntables and kick out the rhymes is to invite taunts of you try-hard, wannabe, self-loathing appropriator of US popular culture. What's wrong with Ian Moss? Oh, I remember the jibes well. When I was young, performing in Seminal Northbourne hip-hop outfit, Raspberry Cordial. I heard them all, including but not limited to, hey, you must be one of those albino African Americans. How small I was made to feel by so many people in midnight oil head injuries and cold chisel last stand tour t-shirts. I wasn't Australian like them. So how interesting that I arrived at this particular juncture in my life and I come across this little piece of information. While the cornerstone of Aussie pub rock, the electric guitar, is of course an American invention, its hip-hop equivalent, the sampler, was first developed, designed and manufactured right here in Australia.
The Fairlight Computer Musical Instrument is an entirely new concept in music production, providing the composer and musician with the unlimited resources of naturally occurring sounds.
In the 1970s, two Sydney-siders, Peter Vogel and Kim Ryrie, developed the Fairlight CMI, or Computer Musical Instrument, the world's first ever sampler.
Yeah, it was the world's first sampler. The first thing we sampled was a dog bark because it was very short. Initially, the samples we could take were only about half a second long. So we worked out a way to sustain them, so if you held a note down, it would sound as if it would continue.
After years of fine-tuning, it was finally put on the market in 1979. This sales video from the era shows how for the first time ever, you could sample your own sounds and play them back on the keyboard. These samples could be of guitar riffs, drum beats, or even Coke bottles.
Sampling a natural sound into the Fairlight is quick and easy. The sound can be made live or from a tape recorder. Once sampled, a three-dimensional display of the progressing waveform is available, and the sound can be played across the full width of the music keyboard.
The Fairlight people even got synthesizer legend Robert Moog to flog the machine in the United States.
I found the Fairlight to be by far the most intuitively efficient and satisfying tool for manipulating sounds that I've ever used.
And the American music industry took note. Amazingly, one of the first ever recorded rap songs, Planet Rock by Bronx DJ AFRIKA BAMBAATAA, utilised Australia's own Fairlight CMI.
It seemed to me, Bob, that with the advent of this new CMI, a computer musical instrument, that we're at really a turning point in history where musical composition and performance will be taking on a new dimension.
How can it be that Australia came up with one of hip-hop's most fundamental tools, yet it be unknown by pretty much everyone? In fact, I'm sure if I went up to our Prime Minister and I said, you know how you're always crapping on about Aussie pride? Well, how about the Fairlight CMI? He would say to me, did Don Bradman ever hit 100 in the backyards at Mum's with the Fairlight CMI? To which I would reply no. And he would say, did Don Bradman ever protect his head with one during the infamous Bodyline series of 1932 and 33? To which I would also reply no. And he would say, please get out of my office. So because there is no link, and nor will there ever be, between the Fairlight CMI and the Great Don, the chances of this Aussie icon ever being commemorated is zero. Until now, that is, with Music Jamboree's Fairlight CMI commemorative 50-cent pieces. So go to musicjamboree.com, print out the coin designs, glue them onto your existing 50-cent pieces, and do your part to help celebrate great moments in Fairlight CMI. A man in early 80s wardrobe blowing into a Coke bottle. AFRIKA BAMBAATAA forking over a fat wad of notes for his Fairlight CMI. And me kicking the head in of an Aussie pub rocker in a Cold Chisel t-shirt who accused me of being un-Australian.
Did you know the sampler was the most important musical development in Australia since the Lugaphone? And let's face it, that's just beer bottle caps nailed to a broom handle.
He knows the inner secrets of the music industry, but for fear of retribution, he must hide his identity. He is the music mole. Mr. Mole, cross-media ownership, for example, Time Warner, they own a record label, they also own the Press at Reviews records. Surely there's potential for conflict of interest here.
Well, it's not always that simple, John. For example, Murdoch owns Festival Mushroom, and he's also got a newspaper empire. Now, you'd think that'd be one big happy family.
And they're not one big happy family?
Well, let me just set the scene. Do you remember Peter Andre?
That guy with the washboard stomach who's saying, give me a little sign, girl, show me that you're mine, girl.
You're familiar with his work, John. Anyway, he was huge in the UK in the 90s and signed with Murdoch's record label. At the same time, the British press were having a field day with him, constantly criticising him for being obsessed with his body and walking around with his shirt off, and generally being a ponce. They turned him into a national laughingstock.
It sounds very cruel, Mr. Mole.
Well, this is exactly what Peter's record label thought. Then they thought, hang on a minute, aren't we owned by Murdoch? And doesn't Murdoch own the papers that are criticising our Peter? So, they had a meeting with James Murdoch, who heads up the music division of the family's empire, and asked him whether he could ask the editors to stop picking on poor Peter.
What did James Murdoch say?
Well, John, apparently he laughed and he said that he wasn't going to risk his credibility by asking his journalists to stop picking on Peter Andre.
So he doesn't mind schmoozing with the Chinese government, but ethically draws the line at stifling anti-Peter Andre speech.
Apparently so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mole.
You're welcome, John.
I've often sat up late watching Rage and thought to myself, I know this video clip is trying to pass itself off as arty, but a 5-year-old kid could have shot it. The camera goes here, the camera goes there, the lighting's all wrong, there's no real story. In fact, forget the 5-year-old kid. I reckon a dog could get a video on Rage. To test his theory, we strapped a video camera to the top of my friend's dog's head. His name's Forrest, and we're going to let him frolic about in a totally random and mindless way without a thought going through his head whatsoever. Or as it's called in the industry, direct a video. For the track, I mixed some of Forrest's panting with a bit of waxing and scratching on this Mixman program that came free with this lame-ass hip-hop CD that I unfortunately got caught up in the moment and bought because it came in a cool blue plastic cover. I've converted the tape to the Betacam format as specified by Rage, and now it's off to GPO Box 9994, Sydney 2001. Then every week you can check the Rage website where they post the up-and-coming playlist for that Friday and Saturday. Here you go, Forrest. 5 a.m. Just after Set You Free 2001 remix by Entrance, and just before Roots Maneuver and Janet Jackson, there's you. The Forest Frolic by Forrest. Rage. That's Entrance. I think we're going to be up next. You are truly a great video clip director. You're Spike Jones, but you're a dog. So if you're in a band and some fancy pants video clip director wants to charge you more than, say, $4, you tell him, back in your box, you can easily be replaced by a Jack Russell, a Springer Spaniel, and possibly even an axolotl. Iran, the Persian paradise of Southwest Asia. March 20th is Oil Nationalisation Day, but it's musical magic all year long. Dr. Jordania?
Thank you, John. Tar is quite an interesting instrument because as a kind of a 8-shaped body, you can move these frets. So on a guitar, for instance, frets are tight on the neck of the guitar, and you can't move them, and you don't need to move them. But on the tar and on some other instruments as well, you can move the frets, which means that this kind of fret, they are kind of going around the guitar, and you can push them up or down, and changing the tuning system of the instrument.
Thank you, Dr. Jordania.
Thank you.
And now to demonstrate the instruments of Iran, we have Mental as Anything with the nips are getting bigger.
Started out just drinking beer. Didn't know how, why, what I was doing there. Just a couple more made me feel a little better. Believe me when I tell you it's nothing to do with a letter. Where I'll be to look into the larder. No bones, nothing, better get something harder. Back in the flash, started on a dash of Jamaican rum. Me and Paolo drinking our rum. Whoa, the nips are getting bigger. Whoa, yeah, the nips are getting bigger. Getting bigger, yeah, getting bigger. Sometimes I wonder what all these chemicals are doing to my brain. Doesn't worry me enough to stop me from doing it again. Wiping out brain cells by the million, I don't care. Doesn't worry me even though I ain't got a lot to spare. Whoa, the net's getting bigger. Oh yeah, it's getting bigger. Whoa, it's getting bigger. Yeah, getting bigger.
Why ya we ya yes ya Zeus ya Worcester ya why ya Zeus ya Worcester.